You weren't born like that?
Correct, yeah. I wasn't born with a visual impairment. I was born with my full sight, and it was in high school when I was in Mombasa still, around 15 years old, when I began noticing a decline in my eyesight, very slowly. It wasn't something that I just woke up and said, oh my goodness, I see differently, like many people have experienced. It was gradual, very insidious, I would say.
Crystal Asige is an artist in her own way and her own proud way. She's done a lot of incredible songs. She has a new project out.
Oh.
But welcome to Hot
Thank
96,
you very
Crystal.
much for having me.
Good to see you.
Thank you too.
How's it going?
Going really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, going well. I've just woken up from a meeting I had late last night in Athi, so I've quickly zipped over to be with you guys.
This is a Senate meeting?
Yes,
On
Women
what?
in Leadership.
Are you enjoying your time in the Senate?
Yeah, I am. It's different, it's difficult, it's tiring, it's fulfilling, it's everything, really. It's all the emotions. But at the end of the day, I've been mandated to represent people with disabilities, youth, women, and of course creatives, because I am one, and I'm very passionate about all those topics. And of course, inclusive transport and mobility is also a passion point of mine too. So I'm very happy to be able to do this work, not just yelling like I used to, like an activist in the streets, but now I'm doing it on a national platform. So I'm feeling very, very blessed.
So take us back, the journey, because you've just mentioned activism. So I guess from there, that's how you got into Senate. But before all that, tell us about Crystal.
Crystal is from Mombasa, born in Bombolulu. I am the fourth child. That's the last child of four. And my parents are still living in Mombasa. Most of my family is still there as well. And I've been a happy child, good childhood, you know, the usual African sort of household issues in there. But generally, very much into sports, very much into public speaking, performing arts and school, heavy in those kinds of areas. And then I fast forwarded to university in the UK, in Bristol, and studied my degree there, finished that off, worked at BBC in Bristol as well for a couple of years, and then came back to Kenya to relocate, find a job and all that.
And things seem to be going pretty well, huh?
Yeah, things have been going well. I'm really grateful. Education is actually... Can I just shout out my niece right now?
Yes,
my niece has scored 396 out of 500.
Congratulations.
Yo,
Good for
Ashley,
her.
we're proud of you. We love
Makofi.
you. Yeah. So education, once you've been able to get that from your family, which I was able to do, you just fly and you end up in seats like this in front of people like you. So...
You're very good with words. What were you doing at BBC?
I was in production management, so behind the camera, not in front of the camera. Yeah, it was a time as well when Sophie Kenya joined BBC around like those back in those days.
And she's still there.
Correct.
Still doing some great things.
Yeah,
Good
really,
for her.
really is.
Big shout out to Sophie.
Yeah, shout out to her. And so I did production management. I was also on the team I worked with Dave Attenborough for a bit on one of his flagship blue chip projects. It was Africa, actually. It was called Africa. And I was really happy to be on there. So did lots of good stuff. I enjoyed it. It's a really good place to grow, lots of departments, lots of people. And that's where I really learned how to speak for myself. It's even despite of having a disability, because out there people, of course, are more inclusive, they're more diverse, they're more equitable and accepting. So it's there where I feel I got a lot of my confidence built in me, so that when I came back home to face, the stereotypical discrimination of people with disabilities, I had a bit of at least cushioning from the UK.
Are you making headway in terms of, inclusivity for all? Because, like buses, bus stops, walkways, it's not very inclusive.
Correct, yeah. And that's part of my flagship bills that I'm sponsoring in Senate right now, one being Persons with Disabilities Bill of 2023. I also have the Kenya Sign Language Bill that I'm sponsoring, the Learners with Disabilities Bill. I also have the Startup Bill, which I picked up from Sakaja, former senator, now governor. And then I'm working on 4 different amendments to various roads bills, which will improve accessibility, like you say, for people with disabilities. And really for everyone, not just people with disabilities. But global statistics show and good practice shows once you make an environment good for a person with disability, then it is automatically good for anybody else using it, whether you're elderly, child, woman, man, anything. So that's the kind of principle I'm trying to inject into bills moving forward.
That's a lot of bills you're proposing, huh?
Yeah, around 10. I've been busy in the last year.
But are they making progress? Because some bills fly through in like a hot second, and then others drag on for years.
Yeah, well, being in the minority, of course, I'm opposition. I'm ODM. Big up ODM. Means that, of course, other things are prioritized on the majority side, as you've been seeing in the last year. However, 4 of them have gotten through into the third reading already, and 1 of them already has gone over to National Assembly side. So I'm sort of like halfway in terms of speed and movement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess for some of these things, it doesn't matter if it's a majority or, ODM, Kenya Kwanza. It's for everybody's benefit, I guess.
Yeah, there are some things that are bipartisan, some subject matters, and I'm glad that I have one of those mandates which are on both sides of the aisle, appreciated, understood, relatable, and people are like, you know what, this could be us at any time. And so, to be honest, let's make bills and let's make an environment that is conducive for all of us, because any of us could be next.
Speaking of environment, is the Senate inclusive in terms of people with visual impairment and other disabilities? I
had a moment like a moment of breakdown. I flew off the handle one time in the middle of the impeachment motion for the DG for Siaya. That was a point where I stood up and I told the Speaker, hey, I'm getting very frustrated because it's not the first time, it's not the second, third, fourth. I have been for countless amount of times asking for accessible material to be given to me, because I'm the only visually impaired parliamentarian across both houses, by the way. And so it's difficult to always yell for my rights when I'm only one out of over 400. And since then, I think Speaker has really taken that seriously, and so has the clerk of the Senate, and they've been improving.
Yeah. Were you yelling into the mic at that time?
Well, not really yelling, because I just showed my frustration. In Parliament, you have to use parliamentary language, darling. You can't just fly off the handle for real, like you're, like road rage, like beep, beep. Yeah. But I expressed myself in a way that I was taken seriously.
Visual impairment, when did it... You weren't born like that?
Correct, yeah. I wasn't born with a visual impairment. I was born with my full sight, and it was in high school when I was in Mombasa still, around 15 years old, when I began noticing a decline in my eyesight, very slowly. It wasn't something that I just woke up and said, oh my goodness, I see differently, like many people have experienced. It was gradual, very insidious, I would say.
Like over what period?
I think over 10 years. I think between 15 and 25 is when I lost my eyesight.
Were you wearing glasses in between?
Yes, I began wearing glasses when I was 15. That was my first sort of intervention or solution given to me. But then when they realized that this is not working, that was when I was in university in England, and I took myself to an optician again to check, because my eyesight was still really bad when I was in halls in uni, and they told me out there that it's not just a matter of wearing glasses. Something is wrong with the back of your eye, the pressure in your eye. It's extremely high. It's in the 40s, and it's supposed to be in a normal person's eyes around 15. So I was like almost triple the amount in terms of interocular pressure, which IOP. So they told me after lots of tests that I have a condition called glaucoma. That's what they diagnosed me with officially. And they said, hold it. It doesn't end there, Crystal. Glaucoma in black people is more aggressive because of the color of our eyes, because you've had it for a long time and it's been sort of like dormant in your eyes for a long time. It's done a lot of damage, so we cannot reverse or stop it, and you'll probably be blind by the time you're 23. Oof. Yeah.
That's what they told you, point blank?
Yeah.
Must have hit you like a train.
It was awful. I spiraled, man. Won't lie.
How did you pick yourself up?
I didn't for some time, and especially because I was in the UK by myself, no parents, my siblings are not in that city and so forth. So my friends around me as well, it's difficult for young people to understand, a disability. When somebody is acquiring a disability, it's difficult for them everyone's just having fun, it's uni, people are partying, just enjoying their experience. So it was a very lonely time for sure. And I think visual impairment, they say, or research shows that I've done, that people would rather die than go blind. People fear death. People fear blindness more than death.
But what would you tell such? Because I also have a friend who went blind, I think when he's in his late 30s. And I can imagine you could see red, you could see flowers, you could see birds and everything. And then now it changes. Now talk to someone who's going through that phase.
Wow, it's really, I I completely understand how difficult it is, especially the whole you have to adapt to a new way of living and almost start from zero again. Have to relearn. You have to unlearn, relearn. How to adapt, how to do small things like, wash your clothes, wash the dishes, how to cook for yourself, how to walk down the street without getting hit, just small things that you've already learned when you're a child and you have to go back there. So if you're going through that, and I understand what it's like, I would say that if you can change your situation somehow through medical intervention or anything else, please do. But if you can't change your circumstance, then change how you look at your circumstance, because that's what worked for me. I changed my mind. The mindset is what I think is where the disability lies. I always say that this is visual impairment, and I point to my eyes, but up here in the mind is where the disability is.
And how did you unlearn and relearn? Like you said, you know how to cook and everything, and take care of, walk around the house and stuff.
I had to redo everything. Absolutely. I had to learn how to get onto public transport, make sure that I'm doing emails still, how to use my phone, my device, because that's very personal, M-Pesa, things like that. You don't want somebody else to have access to all that information. So I had to do a lot of tech sort of training, O&M. It's called orientation and mobility training, which means literally how many steps from the front door to your gate, how many steps from the gate to the bus stop, things like that. How many steps within, your kitchen to your bedroom. So that's orientation and mobility. So you have to learn all those things. So automatically nowadays, I literally count everything that I do, every step I take. I'm making a mind map of it in my head so that I'm able to navigate. And even now, when I walked in, I was like, okay, Jeff is on my left, Nick is right in front of me, and then I've got somebody on my farther left and my right, so that I'm creating a mind map so that when I speak to you, I'm still sort of interacting with normal reflexes.
I've heard that when you get an impairment, another sense becomes more, what's the word?
Heightened?
Yes. So which one is yours? Which got more heightened?
My sense that got more heightened is hearing. Yeah. I now use my hearing to see.
That's how you can tell from a sound that someone is on the left.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I don't use active echolocation. I use passive echolocation. So echolocation is the clicking.
Yes.
The people use that have been trained in it. That's not me.
What do you mean by clicking?
They use clicking, so that you click so that the clicks sort of bounce off the walls, and you are able to, like I say, create a mind map of what's in front of you, what structures, correct, yeah. Because different sound bounces off of different surfaces in a different way. So if you're trained, that means that you use active echolocation. But I use passive echolocation because I wasn't trained. I just sort of tried to teach myself, and I use it in a minimal way, but it still does help.
Well, if you're in South Africa, there'll be a lot of clicking down there. You'll be very confused, huh?
You'll find yourself in
Jeff.
Australia.
Oh, Jeff. Why are you doing this to us? Sorry, South Africans. Jeff didn't mean that.
You can ban him from traveling for a few months. So let's get into
your music now. You said you were an artist. You were always an artist, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Music is the first. Even when politics ends and everything else ends, my voice will remain. Yeah.
Started singing early?
Yes. My mum recalls it being around 3 years old.
Ooh.
I used to come home from nursery school, and instead of telling her about this bully that I had, this boy, I think he loved me, really.
He did.
Instead of telling her the story about how he bullied me, I would sing it. I would turn it into a song. Yeah, so that's when she realized that, Crystal expresses not in words, but she feels safer expressing in music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have a new project now.
I do. It's called Blinding Aliyot. It's a mixtape, and it came out this month. So I've been sharing it, and it's been going really good. I've enjoyed sort of locking myself in to studio. People have thought, I went to Senate and I forgot about music, but I haven't. It's just that Senate is now my day job, and I continue with music in the background. Absolutely. So I've been cooking for the last year, and this is the result of that.
So who produces the song? Because it's got that vibe. It's nice for cruising, for driving. It's Afro-conscious also a bit because of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Who's the producer?
Produced by Wood Omolo. He's a fantastic producer. He's produced me before on my jams, Lenga and others. And yeah, he's somebody that I came back into contact with after a long time. After COVID, everybody, of course, went home, especially creatives. Man, we suffered during COVID.
Yeah.
Couldn't perform, couldn't get gigs, nothing. Couldn't even go to studio to record. So everyone was sort of separated, but then we sort of found each other again once I came back to Nairobi last year because of the Senate gig, and we started cooking.
Who do you listen to in terms of hip hop before your mom just told you, now you go do your own? Who are you jamming to? Is it Lil Wayne? Is it Calligraph? Who is it? Your top three?
My top three, oh goodness. Okay, right now or just generally?
Generally, from when you just started liking hip hop.
Okay, Nas. Really love Nas.
Yeah.
Really love Lauryn Hill, who's hip hop and of course R&B as well. One album, but one of the best albums of all time, the
Miseducation.
Correct, of Lauryn Hill. And who else am I loving generally? I also, I kind of, I don't know. That's quite difficult. You know what? The last one always, when the last one comes, I'm like, my goodness, there's so many to choose from.
Because everyone will start saying, I thought you liked me.
Yeah.
I thought you liked
so
me.
the last one is everyone else.
Okay.
I love you all.
And
We're all
local?
about inclusivity and diversity.
What about local musicians?
Local musicians, I love Atenda Willie. And actually, one of them is on one of these tracks. He's featured on different. And I also love Kali. He's cool as well. And Karun. Karen is really great. Like, loads. Lisa Odwar, she's fantastic. Oh, her vocals. That girl can sing. Yeah, loads.
So maybe now you can talk to the parents who have kids who are trying stuff, but they keep telling, no, soma ukwe kama Jeff, kama ni, kama ukwe senator, not knowing that some of these other things in the background is what helps them elevate to these positions that some of us are in now.
I would say to parents, which my dad realizes now in hindsight, that you don't know the path for your child. We're not here as owners of our children. They just come through us for the world, you see. And I think we have this language which we speak, where we say we raise our children. We don't raise children. You raise sheep, you raise cattle, you raise cows, but you don't raise children. You just guide them. They're here through you, but for the world, not for you. And so when you sort of steer them in one direction and you think that your way is the only way, then you're cutting them off and you're pinching them off from their destiny and what they could do. Because if my father decided to go against my mom and say, no, Crystal will go and do law, then I would not have experienced all that I've experienced in my life and wouldn't maybe not have reached in this position. So I would just say be open, parents, especially now KSP is over, kids are going to go to high school, high school, so on and so forth. Let them just choose their own path. You'll be surprised how young people nowadays especially are very aware of what they want, what makes them happy, what they see for their lives. And so be open, don't pinch off your child's destiny, and just listen.
Have you applied any of the film and theatre post BBC? Making any movies, any TV series?
Do you know what? I feel like it's very transferable right now in Senate. Because when you are standing in front of a mic on the floor of the House, you are kind of performing.
Yeah.
You see these other politicians who really perform, right? I mean, let's not say their names, but they do perform.
Yeah.
It is sort of, definitely use it there when I articulate, when I'm able to express myself. Public speaking, definitely helping right now in Senate, even right now on this mic. So absolutely transferable, I believe. Communication in general is what we studied in film and theatre, how to communicate through different medium. And I'm just taking that forward in my life.
Nice. You also do some spoken word.
Yes, I do, darling. That's how actually I started writing poetry when I was younger. And then when I realized that people are making money out of putting poetry and music together, making a song and making money, I was like, yo, I think I can do that. And I think I want to try do that later in life. So it's when I went to the UK when it opened my eyes to people doing open mic nights, and you go and you see people, passing along the little jug or the hat, and people throw in money to appreciate. And I was like, wow, people are appreciating someone just for standing up and singing. I think this could be an opportunity for me. So yeah.
Are you performing this anywhere? Are you doing any performances yet?
So I'll be up after Chambers close for when we recess in December. I'll be doing gigs here and there. I'm going to Dubai hopefully, and I'll be speaking at COP 28. Then I'll hopefully do a couple of gigs whilst I'm there, and then I'll go to Kigali for a couple, and then closer to Christmas I'll be back in Kenya. So bookings are still open though. So holla at me.
In COP, who are you representing?
An organization that I worked with, they're called High Volume Transport. It's in the UK. We did some research together. I'm published in Inclusive Mobility and Transport, like Nick was talking about a couple of minutes ago, how to make the environment more accessible to people with disabilities and elderly and children. So I'm published in that area with this group of consultants in the UK, and they're inviting me to speak in their session.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Keeping you busy, aren't they?
They are, man. I don't know how many hours in my day there are, but I feel like there's just too many because I'm everywhere all the time, but I'm grateful.
Grateful indeed. Okay, tell us about Different.
Different is featuring Uaya Tajiri. Hey, Uaya. And he is one of the two in Watendawili, the group called Watendawili. Another jam that happened out of just sheer luck, I suppose. I was in studio with Wood Omolo, the producer, and then Uaya, who was with me during the extravaganza time, walked into the studio, and he was like, "Oh my God, Crystal, I've not seen you for such a long time." And I said, "Oh my goodness, why haven't you called me for like 5 years?" But we broke bread, we chopped it up, we sort of like talked about the past, the present, the future. And then he was like, "What are you doing in here?" And I said, "I'm making music." And he asked to listen to it. And I asked him, "What do you think?" And he said he loved it and he wanted to jump on, and he did.
Nice. Good jazz. Where's the music available?
It's available on my YouTube channel, also on all DSPs. Just look for Crystal Asige, which is my handle everywhere, and you'll definitely be able to find Blinding Allure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Crystal Asige, it's been a pleasure having you this hour.
Thank you so much, y'all. I really
done.
appreciate your time.
Keep doing what you do. We're very proud of you, and I'm sure Mom is as well, and everybody.
Yes, they are.
Her name is Joy Asige.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about Dad. You haven't mentioned Dad much apart from him telling you to be a lawyer.
Oh, yes. His name is Jeff, and he's also at home with Mom, with Joy. So the two of them are a right pair, I'm telling you. The two of them. Sometimes you're just like, can you guys I just can't. I can't deal with you. Let me just go to Nairobi. But they're lovely, and I thank them for bringing me up the way they did and making me who I am today. Yeah.
Well done. Keep going. Keep
Thank
flying.
you.
Keep shining.